Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Just realised I've left my phone over the side of the room. Wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So I hope you're all well. I'm just same as always, hot. Don't mean in the good way either. So still very hot over here in Spain. Keep promising us thunderstorms, but they haven't materialized. They're saying it again today, later on today, thunderstorms. Please, I'm doing rain dances at the moment. Bit of rain would be lovely. Little bit of rain at least. Now, before I get going, I'm just going to go and find my phone. Where's my phone? It's normally not very far away. None of us, normally our phones are pretty close by, aren't they? But I think I might have left it in the kitchen. Let's have a look. Right, where's the phone rocket? Oh, there. There it is. Got my phone. So, what we're going to talk about today on my birthday eve. So it's my birthday eve. It's my birthday tomorrow. More years than I care to remember. Anyway, I thought what we'd talk about today. There's always a lot of things to talk about, but not really any progress in a lot of the cases that we're covering. No new news. But there's been sort of news in Nancy Guthrie case. I've thought I'd talk about Nancy. I like to talk about Nancy every now and again. I want to keep her name in the limelight, and on my channel, keep talking about. I know you're all interested in this case. It's very frustrating, isn't it? It's been months. End of January, Nancy Guthrie, 84 years old, grandma, mum, mother to a famous celebrity, Savannah Guthrie, disappeared into a puff of smoke from her bed, from her, lovely home in Tucson, Arizona. 1 minute she was there and the next minute she was gone. And to be honest, all these months later, we are no further on, are we? In the early days, 2 people were arrested, not arrested, detained, questioned, released, supposed to be suing the police department because although those people, Carlos and Luke Daly, they weren't arrested, nothing ever came of their detainment, but they haven't been cleared either. So, there's talk of them suing the police department. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Then there were remains found, and there was a bit, there wasn't much kerfuffle about these remains that were found. So, always felt like it wasn't going to be anything to do with Nancy. The more we look into this case, that area, this is the second set of remains that have been found. There's been all sorts of things found, and CCTV of strange people wandering around the neighbourhood and trying to rob people, and people going missing, and murders, and people dying in the police custody. And, it's not very, I can tell you honestly, Tucson would not be on my list of places to live in this crazy world. The more I see about it, the more I think, what a weird place it is. I know it's beautiful. It is beautiful. The sunsets are beautiful. Mountains are beautiful. It's all beautiful. But you know what? So is South Africa is beautiful. Most countries are beautiful. But, you won't want to live there because they're so dangerous. Do you know what I mean? It's like, sadly, just because a place is beautiful doesn't mean to say it's safe, does it? I mean, nowhere's 100% safe, of course. We have to be aware of that. But some places are more safe than others, aren't they? Like South Africa. Oh my God, you couldn't pay me enough money to go there. I've got students from South Africa, and that's why they moved to Spain, because it's so dangerous there. So dangerous, literally, to live in South Africa these days. It's not better than before apartheid, it's worse. Just, you've got to live in gated communities. There are no absolute no-go areas, places where you would literally be murdered as soon as you set foot in there as a white person, and probably the opposite. As a black person, you probably would be shot if you set foot in some of the other areas, because people would be scared you were coming to murder them. So, yeah, some places just not safe to live. It seems to me Tucson wasn't very safe, but Nancy liked it. She lived there for many years. She was 84. She wasn't going anywhere, was she? She had lived in that house where she was taken from. She brought her children up there. Sadly, her husband died when she was only in her 40s. But Nancy had lived in that house, all the memories there. She had no intentions of moving, even though she had reached, an advanced age. I mean, 84 by any standards. I know by today's standards, lots of people live to that age, and she seemed to be okay. I mean, she had the usual sort of health problems that you might expect someone in their 80s, but there's no reason to think she was on, death's door or anything. But did it push her over the edge? Being kidnapped by a balaclavaed man, could push anyone over the edge, whether you had a heart problem to start with or not. Anyway, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about these remains that have been found. We're going to talk about the fact that Luke Daly, one of the people who was detained but not charged over this case, he had some other charges against him. They've been dropped. And it was said that he was thinking of suing Pima County. Is this the exchequer, like some sort of deal that if they drop the charges, he won't sue them, for his detention and all the sideways looks he's received because of it. And, Sheriff has not come out and said he's definitively cleared. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about Savannah, her latest Instagram posts, which actually are not about Nancy. They're about her daughter who's just had a birthday. Yeah. So we're going to talk about, and we're going to go over the timeline. Again, we just keep going over it. Maybe one day something will break. It's just to remind us, really, to remind me, to remind all of us, where actually are we in this case? Have we progressed at all? I mean, there is some DNA testing going on, which, although the hair turned out to be nothing, there's some, the sheriff, Sheriff Nanus, the clown sheriff, he said that there's ongoing DNA tests. The FBI have been back in the neighbourhood recently. Why? Why have they been back? They don't tell us anything, obviously. So we're going to just generally talk about Nancy Guthrie, just to discuss, really, but no real developments in this case. So that's a bit of a spoiler alert. Maybe, I hope you'll still carry on watching the video, just to, for us to discuss. I think we enjoyed discussing it because I don't know about you, but most people that I know, if I say, about this Nancy Guthrie case, they sort of go, what? So it's nice to be able to chat about things that I'm interested in with like-minded people. So thank you for that. So first of all, thank you so much to everyone for liking, for subscribing. I really appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It's completely free. Press your notification bell. Then you won't miss out on updates on any of the cases that we're covering. Thank you for your emails. People send me interesting emails, comments. All those things are free ways that you can help my channel. And a very special thank you, of course, to my members who go that little bit further, have joined. Thank you for that. We had a members live. What day is it today? Saturday today. We had a members live on Thursday. We'll have another one a week on Thursday. See what there is to discuss. Sometimes we just have a general chit chat. It's about supporting each other. Maybe we try and have a bit more light-hearted banter. So yeah, thank you to my members. Thank you to those of you who bought me Ko-fis, sent PayPals, and then some of you have been onto the Ko-fi page. Don't forget that's where the shop is. It's 25% off everything. In fact, I'll put the link up just in case people want to check it out. 25% off everything, which is like a combination birthday offer, August offer, summer officer, Officer and a Gentleman. That was a good film, wasn't it? They don't make films anymore like they used to, do they? Do you remember Officer and a Gentleman? What a film. What a film. This Ko-fi link, it's where people buy me Ko-fis, but also the shop is on there. If you look at the shop, you see all the T-shirts, the mugs, etc. Everything is 25% off. What else do I want to thank people for? Yeah, just generally thank you for watching, liking, subscribing, as I say. All the positive ways you help my channel, and even you trolley dollies. You know, it's funny how the comments that people make sometimes, isn't it? I had a comment on one of my videos basically saying I talk a load of rubbish. Fair enough, sometimes I do. But the thing is, what's interesting is they then went on another video and said more or less the same thing. So I thought, oh, so you watched the first video, you didn't like it, you thought I spoke a load of rubbish, so you thought you'd go on and look at another video as well. It just like, anyway, I haven't commented on it because I don't comment on the trolls now. We starve the trolls, don't we? We don't feed them. But I just thought it was funny. It's like some trolls, they are funny because they like to criticize, and I don't care really, to be honest. I literally do not care. You know, I've been insulted by people that I've cared about in my long life, so I certainly don't care about people that I don't even know. But just amuses me how maybe I'm serving a purpose there, just giving them somebody to vent on. You know, they're obviously quite sad in their lives that they feel that they have to go on some anonymous person's YouTube and make a nasty comment. It really says more about them, doesn't it, than me? So if I'm serving that purpose, well, there you go. I'm glad to do that. So, and it's all engagement. So don't forget, even negative engagement is engagement, and it helps with the algorithm. So thank you to my trolley dollies too. Okay, so hello, lovely lurkers. Lovely to see you. Hello to replay crew. Thank you for watching. And let's see who's in the chat. So there's a few of you in the chat having a little chitter chatter. We like a chat, don't we? I mean, and let's not forget, and I want to say it again, I am not, you know, Vicky Marie detective or anything like that. I am Vicky Marie chats crime, true crime chats. I talk about crime because true crime fascinates me. We talk about cases, gives us a chance to air our views. Just like we were sat in the pub chatting about it. I'm not pretending to be an expert on anything. I'm not an ex-FBI profiler. You know, you see on all the, ex-FBI profiler, you know, says this and that. You know, someone who's perhaps not worked for the FBI for 20 years. I'm not pretending to have special knowledge. I just talk about the way I feel on the evidence that's available, or sometimes just the way I feel about things. And that's where it is. It's just a chat. That's all. But it's a respectful chat. Always respectful to the victims, 100%. The perpetrators, not so much. But there you go. They've got to live with that. Okay, so let's come into the chat, see what's happening. Thank you to those of you who are brave enough to come into my chat. But you know you won't get insulted there, or if anybody who insults anybody else, they're just hoiked out, aren't they? We don't do that on this channel. We're not nasty to people for the sake of it. Hey, Lily. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Princess. Yes, this is my last ditch attempt here. You know, just when I can't, I don't even know what to do with it. I'd like to really have my hair down, but it's impossible at the moment. Apart from the fact it's too hot, then it frizzes up. It goes like cotton wool with the humidity, so it's pointless. So, well, funny enough, you won't believe how long this took me this morning. Normally, it's literally 2 minutes, but this one went in perfectly well. I was so pleased with it. It looked nice. And this one I've had to do about 4 times. In the end, I was practically cutting off the ponytails. I was thinking, I've had enough of this. I'm going to have short hair. Anyway, I didn't, and I won't. But yeah, in the end, it's okay. But you can see it's not as nice as this one. Sorry, this one is not as nice as this one. It didn't fall as nice. But yeah, this is my last ditch hairdo when I just can't do anything else. Tracy says I'm looking very glamorous. I did put some makeup on this morning. I did have a little bit of time to actually put my face on. So I don't know about glamorous, but at least I have got a face on. Exactly, Princess. While people are attacking you, they're leaving somebody else alone. Oh, thank you. You all love me in my chat. I really appreciate that. And of course, we've seen, you know, the thing is, people never learn, do they? You know, when you think about Carolyn Flack, who was, you know, who ended up sadly taking her own life because really, I mean, she was just reviled online, wasn't she? You know, thing is that it's one thing to just sort of make a comment or say something, but to actively hound people. And now we've had the Cambridge professor guy, the guy who it turned out, there's a motorbike going past, the guy who it turned out had plagiarized his exams or whatever, and maybe told some porcupines and this, that, and the other. But really, he was hounded. I mean, they'll blame it on social media, but it was mainstream media were just the same. They're just as bad, if not worse. And very sadly, he's been found unresponsive and likely that he has taken himself away from this world. Just couldn't face it all. Now, he did things wrong. He told lies, you know, but really, you know, was it worth all the persecution that they gave him? When you think about Prince Andrew, or Andrew, formerly known as Prince, the pedo prince. You know, when you think about what people do, what politicians do, and they don't get tormented, nobody's talking about Andrew anymore. He's just faded into obscurity on the Sandringham estate. Oh, but the guy that tried to stalk him, he's up in court next month or whatever. He was dealt with pretty quick, wasn't he? There's Andrew. Nothing. Nada. Got arrested. It was like lip service. Arrested, released, just to show the public that he got arrested. No charges. He'll never be charged. Trump's another one. All this, the Epstein files and that's all rubbish, because nothing's ever going to happen. As soon as Trump dies, it'll be everywhere about what he did. But at the moment, it's just, there's no appetite for it. With journalists, they'd rather hound some poor guy from Cambridge University who nobody even knows anything about. They'd rather hound him. What has he ever done to our lives? Do you know what I mean? It's like, anyway, I won't get going about that, because I may do a special video about that. In fact, I probably will, because My heart's breaking for that guy and his family. Yeah, he was what's a bit of a Walter Mitty type character. He did tell lies and didn't kill anyone. He didn't RAPE anybody. He's not part of a PDF ring, international PDF ring, or eating babies like supposedly they've done. I mean, why was he persecuted? I'll tell you why, because it was easy to persecute him. It was news, something that people would click into. And the MSN, mainstream media, MSN, they're just as guilty of clickbait as social media. If they think they'll get a click on it, they'll talk about it. Sod him, sod Carolyn Flack. And of course, her brother now has taken his own life as well. I don't know if you knew that, but Caroline Flack's brother did exactly the same thing. He couldn't live with what had happened to Caroline. These things have ripples. Disgusting. These journalists, these British journalists, they need to find something proper to talk about, instead of talking about people. Good God. They've done it so many times over the years, haven't they? Brenda in the Madeleine McCann case. She was another one. Doorstepped by Martin Brun. Go and doorstep somebody who's done something wrong, not just sent a tweet out. Go and doorstep a PDF or an RAPIST, or go and doorstep Prince Andrew, or Andrew formerly known as Prince. Go and doorstep someone who's done something really bad. Just makes me angry, really angry. Doorstepping Brenda because she sent out a few tweets about the McCanns that everybody was doing at the time. There's lots of people don't believe the McCanns didn't know anything. He didn't doorstep anybody else. He doorstepped Brenda because she was vulnerable. She was easy to doorstep because she's not some big guy. She was a middle-aged woman. He went and doorstepped her because he knew she wouldn't punch him in the face. Well, if he turned up at my house, I might be a geriatric woman. You see if he gets punched in the face if he turns up at my doorstep for his Sky News. Anyway, let's get off that subject. Let's get onto the subject of Nancy. Yeah, it was Princess, sadly. Can you imagine how the mum feels? Let me just have a look at that, actually. "55 he was. Paul Flack. He died on June the 21st. He was found unresponsive at his home in Norwich and later pronounced dead 6 years after his sister died by the big S. But he did it. It was, they're not saying it here, but I think the inquest hasn't happened yet, but I think generally it's accepted that he killed himself the same way that Caroline did. Sad, isn't it? For that poor mother. She's got 2 children, adult children, that have done that. Awful, isn't it? Very, very tragic. So let's have a talk about these remains. So Nancy Guthrie, there's been, as I say, a bit of a kerfuffle recently over remains that were found in the area, in the wash. Do you know what these washes are? Apparently these houses are surrounded by what are called washes, which is where, when they have the monsoon rains, because they do have very heavy rains, in between. I mean, they're very hot there, aren't they, in Arizona at the moment? It's like desert heat, isn't it? But then, of course, that leads to, same as here in Spain, you get nothing's, there's no in-betweens. It's either boiling hot or it's pouring down with rain. So these remains were found. Let me put a picture up of Nancy. I think we all know, you all know who Nancy is. I think you all know what she looks like. This, of course, is a picture of her with Savannah, her famous daughter, who's a host on the Today program. Hi, Sean. Hi, how are you? So, remains were found. This was only the other day. But it's already been said that it's nothing to do with Nancy. But anyway, this article says the Nancy Guthrie case sees a fresh development after human remains were found in a Tucson wash, though her whereabouts remain unknown. Anyway, human remains found in a Tucson wash are not those of Nancy Guthrie. So, as I say, this is another reason. I'm looking for my glasses because it's a little bit dark in here. This is another reason I certainly won't want to live in that area. This is the second set of human remains that have been found. It's just bodies everywhere, for God's sake. Bodies everywhere. But none of them are Nancy, or so far anyway. We haven't found them. They haven't found them. So these remains were discovered on early Thursday morning, August the 13th, near Interstate 10 and Silver Lake Road, and were mostly bones. Mostly bones? Mostly? Tucson police said the remains had been there for an extended period. The Pima County office of the medical examiner took custody of the bones to work out the person's identity and cause of death. Finn shared the federal source's confirmation after a local report triggered questions about whether they could be linked to Nancy Guthrie. But the Tucson Police Department said officers received a report about the remains early on Thursday. They were found in a wash off South Santa Cruz Lane near Interstate 10 and Silver Lake Road. So the case is being handled as an unknown death. The Pima County office recovered the remains and will determine their identity and cause of death. They were not treated as someone who'd recently been carried into the area by flooding. No identity has been publicly released. And of course, though, when these human remains were found, immediately people's thoughts are going towards Nancy, aren't they? Because she's the high-profile case of a missing person in that area, and we don't know. She's thought to be deceased, but we don't know where she is. Anyway, Matt Finn later said, "Federal sources tell me this is not Nancy Guthrie. And Matt Finn must be a reporter or something. Federal source tells me this is not Nancy Guthrie." So the investigation into who it is separate from the Nancy Guthrie investigation. How many bodies are lying around there? As I say, that's 2 sets of human remains they've found so far, neither of which have been anything to do with Nancy. But so where is Nancy? This is the question. Where is Nancy Guthrie? ¿Dónde está Nancy? It's a very perplexing one, because I don't know about you, but in the early days, I really thought this was going to be solved quickly. I think most of us did, didn't we? We thought that it wouldn't be that long. And then when the 2 detainments were made, it just felt like this case should be easy to solve because of the CCTV images of Porch Guy, the video, the ransom notes. It feels to me like this is a case with so many clues. There are so many clues. There's more clues than a Pink Panther cartoon, or a Scooby-Doo episode. There's clue after clue after clue, but there's been no developments, or at least not as we know about. It's weird, isn't it? I still cannot believe that in this day and age, the FBI haven't managed to find out where the ransom notes come from. If I don't believe they're real ransom notes. They may be from whoever did whatever to Nancy, but I think they deliberately was sent to mislead what really happened to Nancy. I think Nancy was probably deliberately murdered for a completely different reason. And the ransom notes were just like a decoy to make people think she'd been kidnapped. That's my opinion. I haven't seen anything to make me change that opinion. But I literally cannot believe that after all this time, the FBI still don't know where those notes have come from. Or a found porch guy. There's over $1 million reward on offer. Well, so to me, that just tells me that if after you offer over $1 million reward and nobody comes forward, no one's ever going to come forward. Not within the near future anyway, maybe in 10 years or something. So that means either there's nobody to come forward, nobody knows anything, or people know something, but they're also intertwined with the whole thing, so they can't come forward without implicating themselves. To me, I think it's more likely there is nobody to come forward, that whoever organised this, whoever planned it, it's either just one person working on their own, or it's a joint venture between more than one person, and both of those are equally implicated. So no one's going to come forward. Nobody. Nadie. Ninguno. That's my opinion. Anyway, you'll let me know what you think. We've been talking about this case for a while. People have got their views on what's happened to Nancy. I'm veering towards a UFO explanation. I sort of said it, as a joke in the beginning. Was she beamed up by Starship Enterprise? But this part of me thinks now, well, was she? It just seems that just as likely as any of the other theories. There's no theory in this case that makes any sense, is it? And in the meantime, the family is suffering. We've got some of the family being accused of actually doing it or having something to do with it. And because, despite what Clown Sheriff says, that the family are not involved, nobody believes him because he's lied before, he's told porcupines before. You can't believe what he says anyway. He contradicts himself all the time. So, So it's a very weird case. I think I can honestly say this is probably one of the weirdest cases that I have ever covered. Now, I want to have a look before we go on to the timeline. We're just going to go over the timeline. I just want to show you Savannah Guthrie's latest post, which, as I say, is nothing to do with Nancy. This is to do with her daughter's birthday. Though it's strange, what? What's she putting her kids online for? After her mum's gone missing, after she talked a lot about her mum on the TV, when I saw that she'd put this post up about her kids, which now I can't find. Maybe she's taking it down. I don't know. You shouldn't be putting your kids online, Savannah. That's my opinion. Is it gone? Where's it gone? Anyway, according to this article I've got, now why can't I find that on? Why can't I find it on her Instagram? Let's see if I can find something else. Find the article on the phone. Yeah, so I mean, to me, my mum had been kidnapped. So Savannah Guthrie celebrates her daughter Vale's 12th birthday. Let's see, what's it on? Is it? I couldn't find it on her Instagram. Says an Instagram tribute, but I couldn't find it on her Instagram. Maybe she's taken it down. I don't know. But anyway, so she's put the 54-year-old Today co-host rang in her daughter Vale's 12th birthday with an Instagram tribute. Wonder if I can find it by going there. Oh yeah. So let's see if you can see it. There it is. So that's a picture of her baby, of Vale when she was a baby. So Savannah Guthrie says, on this day 12 years ago, I will never forget this joy. Happy birthday to my dearest Vale, growing up so beautiful, kind, soulful and wise. I thank God for you every day. And she's put a picture of her, fair enough, when she was born, which I suppose nobody's going to recognise her from that. Yeah, it's not, I don't think it's on her public Instagram. I think you have to go more into it. Anyway, my point is, if my mum had gone missing for all this time, I wouldn't be putting my daughter on Instagram, picture of her as a baby or not. I wouldn't even be mentioning her. I wouldn't be saying her age. I wouldn't be saying how old she was. Do you know what I'm saying? Why is she doing that? And she learnt from the fact that her mum went missing, and it may be as a result of her being a famous person. We don't know that yet, but it may be. You know, it's just as likely to be connected to Savannah as anything else at the moment, because we have no clue why Nancy was kidnapped. I wouldn't be why put an Instagram post on about your daughter's 12th birthday, mentioning her name? I wouldn't have known her name otherwise. And believe me, on this article that I've got up here on the computer, there are photos as well. Photos of Savannah with Vale and her son Charlie. It says other slides included a snap of Savannah holding her eldest child in the hospital. Just, you know, does she not? I know she's a famous person, but I think after your mother had been kidnapped and you don't know after 8 months what's happened to her, I wouldn't be mentioning my children, would you? Wouldn't be putting anything on about your children whatsoever, or anything about your husband, your private life, where you live. You know, it's very surprising to me that, and I know it's awful, she should be able to, but she's a famous person. Why don't she have a private Instagram that's just her friends and family, and then put it on there, of course. But on a public Instagram, mentioning her name, mentioning her age, you're feeding whoever this person is. If it turns out that Nancy was kidnapped because of Savannah and because of her connections to Savannah, you're just asking for trouble, aren't you, to put posts on about your children then as well? Very odd. To me, it's like you would only do that if you didn't think that anything would come of it. I'd be terrified. I would be absolutely terrified if my mum had been kidnapped. I'd be terrified that my children might be next. And I know, she's part of what she does. She's a celebrity and that, but I just think it's odd. I think it's really odd. I would not be putting anything about my children up there, about my life. The only things I'd be putting on my Instagram at the moment would be to do with work, maybe shows that were coming up, or, things that, because she's going to be doing this Wordle show, isn't she? Things like that, professional things, and pleas about Nancy, to find her mum. That's all that would be going up there from me. I don't see why she's putting posts up about her daughter, even saying it's her birthday, because, you give away somebody's birthday. That's giving away information about Vale. If somebody starts trying to troll Vale, like actually sort of maybe catfish her or anything, you're giving away information that they can use to their advantage. Very odd. Very odd. Yeah, but I understand what you're saying, Trace, but she'd done it every year, but last year her mum hadn't disappeared. Actually, nobody knows where she is and probably is dead, so things change. Yeah, you might do it every year because you might be innocently, not even thinking about it. But this year is different, isn't it? Do you know what? I wouldn't even put on about my son's birthday even now. Like I'm saying about my birthday, of course, because that's just me, isn't it? But you've got to be very careful what you put online, because most 99% of people that are watching, they would look at that and they go, oh, lovely, and they've left nice messages, happy birthday, Vale, oh, she'll be a teenager soon, all those kind of things. 99.9% of people will be, you wouldn't have to worry about. But what about the other 1%? What about the other 1%? You just don't know who's out there, what they're thinking. Not everybody has benign feelings towards celebrities. And let's face it, Savannah now, she's got millions of followers. So, if you've got, I don't know, 1,000 followers, you still might have one that's a bit of a Fruit Loop, at least one. But if you've got millions, you might have, thousands of Fruit Loops watching. It increases your odds of having Fruit Loops watching, isn't it? And of course, that's the other thing. So, yeah, she keeps saying now they'll never rest until they find Nancy. But where is she handing out flyers? Where are Annie and Tommaso handing out flyers, etc.? They're not. Andy and Tommaso have been very quiet. I don't blame them for being quiet, because I do feel sometimes no matter what you say, people are going to twist it round and turn something into it. I don't blame them for that. And they've got a young son as well, so they've got to think about him. And he lives in that area. They live in that area, though. Whether they're still living there, I have no clue. But I don't know. I would literally be on the TV as often as I could be, encouraging people to hand out flyers or look out for Nancy, etc. Just seems very odd to me, the whole thing. Hi, Nigel. No, Nigel works in intelligence, investigating and prosecuting cases. Yeah. If there is a vendetta feel to this, as you say, which a lot of people are saying, aren't they? Why put your daughter on Instagram? Why even mention her? Don't people celebrate birthdays privately anymore? I know I've been bleating on about my birthday, but do you know what? My mum's not missing. You know, if my mum had gone missing, bless her, I wish she was here to go missing. But of course, I lost my mum quite a long time ago. I would not be. You would not be giving away personal information online, would you? If you had an unresolved issue in your family that could have been because of your popularity or fame or whatever. So it's a very strange thing. Very, very strange. The whole thing, isn't it? And yeah, what you're saying there, Tracy, in my opinion, and it literally is just my opinion, I think, yeah, this is about, I do think it's about money. I think somebody probably owed Nancy money. Nancy seems like she was. The other thing I do feel is that when this all comes out, which hopefully it will one day, I hope it doesn't end up one of those unsolved cases that we never find out what happened to Nancy. I think it might surprise us. It might be something we weren't expecting. Something we hadn't thought about yet. So, because we don't know everything that's going on behind the scenes, do we? Anyway, I'm just going to go and get a drink and then I'm going to go through the timeline again. So, I'll only be 2 ticks. Talk amongst yourself. I'll be about a minute. Okay, see you in a minute. And then we're going to go through the Nancy Guthrie timeline, or what we know of it. Of course, I don't feel 100% about the timeline. I don't think we've had the proper timeline for whatever reason, maybe for investigative reasons, but we're going to go through the official timeline. Okay, that's it. I'm replenished. So we're going to look at the official timeline. One more time. See, it's very strange. Something that I just want to remind us all of, that twice. This is why people don't believe Sheriff Nanos and things he says, or they don't trust him. Because twice he described him being called to the area on Saturday night. Now, he said that twice, but it wasn't Saturday night when he gave his first press conference, was it? It was Sunday night. Why did he say Saturday twice? I just feel this timeline is not right, but I think it's being withheld from us, the proper timeline, and it will be for reasons to do with the case, and you can't really criticize that. Maybe they've got something, I don't know. Let's have a look. So see if I can put it up on here as well. I mean, timelines are notoriously sort of fluid, aren't they? You know, it's difficult to have exact timelines unless there's actual digital evidence of it. And this is Eyewitness News I'm reading from. What is it? Okay. Yeah, I think this is the one. Where's my glasses? I thought I had them on my head then. Normally when I'm looking for my glasses, they're on my head. Okay. So this is the timeline that I'm reading. Poor Nancy. I mean, I can't believe that she's still alive. I just cannot believe for a minute she's still alive. So that's the missing person, vulnerable adult. Nancy Guthrie, age 84, sex female, height 5'5", weight 150 pounds, hair colour brown, eye colour blue. Last seen on the evening of January the 31st, 2026, at her residence near East Skyline Drive and North Campbell Avenue. Unknown what clothing she may be wearing. Now, that's strange, isn't it? Because do you remember Savannah in one of her interviews said she was taken out wearing pajamas and bare feet? Why did Savannah say that? But on this one, this missing person poster, it's saying unknown what clothing she may be wearing. So why did Savannah say she was in her pajamas and bare feet? How did she know that? Surely she wouldn't have just said it for the sake of saying it. So anyway, Saturday, January the 31st at 5:32 p.m. And this is exact because now we've never, we don't know who the Uber driver is. We've never seen the video from inside the Uber car, have we? I think that's irritating people. Release the Uber video, but no, that's not happening. But we know then because of that, because of the Uber driver who apparently has been investigated, that at exactly 5:32 p.m. Nancy took an Uber to her daughter's home for dinner. And this is what Sheriff Nanos said. Investigators have spoken with the Uber driver. So 5:32, in fact, I think what I might do is sort of write all this down on a PDF or something and share it sometime today. So 5:32 off she went for dinner at Annie and Tommaso's and the games night. And presumably their son was there as well. Then at 9:48 p.m, and that's very exact time, Nancy was dropped off at home by her family. Her garage door opened at approximately 9:48 and then closed at 9:50. That's not long, is it? 2 minutes. I'm just thinking how long it takes me when I get home from picking up number one son from work. Especially at the moment when it's so hot. I mean, I'm not the quickest mover at the best of times. But, pull up outside, normally sit there for 30 seconds, just try and get the strength together to get out the car, get up the steps and come into the house. Definitely takes longer than 2 minutes. In fact, I might time it tonight if I think about it. Just seems very quick, that, doesn't it, for Nancy to get out? She's got to get out the car, don't forget. Unless she was already out of the car before she opened the garage door. And then all she had to do was go in, maybe then. Because don't forget, she supposedly got mobility problems. So the garage door opened at approximately 9:48 p.m. and closed at 9:50. So that was on Saturday, January the 31st. And then on Sunday, February the 1st, investigators believe Nancy Guthrie was abducted in her sleep. So they said immediately she was taken directly from her bed. On February the 1st, according to the Sheriff's Department, and it was at 1:47 a.m., her doorbell camera disconnected. So we saw, the porch guy with the flowers, reaching up, trying to disable the camera. So this, this is not a burglary, is it? Because if it was a burglary, she would have got, but they would have watched her go off with Tommaso, with the Uber, and broke in then when she wasn't there, wouldn't they? So they've waited for her to come home. So this is a lying in wait, isn't it? They were lying in wait, waiting for her to come home. They went in there for Nancy for whatever reason, either to kidnap her or to kill her, one or the other. Personally, I think they went in there to kill her. I think their intention was always to kill her. That's what my opinion is. She took an Uber to Sean. She took an Uber to Tommaso and Annie's for some unknown reason. We don't know why she took an Uber there, why Tommaso didn't come and get her. They only live around the corner. Or why Annie didn't come and get her. If Tommaso was, there's two of them. They've got a teenage son, a young teenage son. He could have come in the car to get Nancy. Why did she even get an Uber? I don't really understand why she got an Uber to go there. But to come back, she didn't get an Uber to come back. She was brought home by Tommaso. So I don't understand why he didn't pick her up in the first place. So, yeah. So they believe she was taken in her sleep. So they believe she was asleep and woken up. Imagine being woken up by that bloody, masked man. God, it'd give anyone a heart attack, wouldn't it? I just cannot imagine anything more terrifying. But you know what? That's why it's good to have dogs and to barricade yourself in your bedroom. Nancy probably had her bedroom door open. So 1:47, the doorbell camera disconnected. Oh, and at 2:12 a.m., the camera software detected a person on camera, but no video was available. The sheriff said they had no subscription and therefore it would rewrite itself, loop right and cover up. So remember, this is what the sheriff said in the beginning. Of course, once it was turned over to the FBI managed to get images off the camera, didn't they? And this is what Nanos said at the time. So don't forget the crap he's come out with, really, because he wouldn't go to the FBI immediately, would he? He said it just loops and covers up. That's what our analysis teams have told us. But he said, we're not done with that. The sheriff said there were multiple cameras at the home. So there's no way that the only footage the FBI have got is that video of Porch Guy and those photos of him at the door. There'll be more footage, maybe even from inside Nancy's house. Maybe there is even footage of her being carried out the door. We just don't know, do we? And as you say, Tracy, how does Samantha know she was wearing pajamas and was barefoot, as she said in her interview with Hoda? There's so many discrepancies in this case, isn't there? So many discrepancies. No wonder nobody believes a word Nano says. So that was at 2:12, a person on camera, which is probably Porch Guy. 2:28, her pacemaker app disconnected from her phone, and it was 11:56 a.m. that relatives went to Nancy Guthrie's house, and that is Annie and Tommaso, because Nancy was supposed to go to her friend's house, wasn't she, to watch an online church service. She didn't turn up. So her friend got in touch with Annie and Tommaso. Annie and Tommaso went round to the house and found that she was missing. The back doors were propped open, apparently, weren't they, with plant pots? Now, there's no way that Nancy left those doors open, in my opinion. You know, in that area, there were jabalinas, hyenas, there's scorpions, there's snakes, rattlesnakes, apart from the fact there's random bloody robbers wandering around all the time. I don't believe for a minute that Nancy went to bed and left her back doors propped open. Maybe she did that sometimes when she was sat in the garden or in the pool or whatever, but no way. I believe that she went to bed, left her back doors wide open, propped open with plant pots, and fell asleep, even though there's hyenas wandering around. Not hyenas, sorry, coyotes, jabalinas, all sorts of scorpions, snakes, everything wandering around that neighbourhood. She's not going to go to bed and go to sleep with her doors open, is she? I don't believe that for a minute. No matter how safe you feel in a neighbourhood, if you're not worried about some, murderer coming in, you're going to be worried about a coyote wandering in, aren't you? Or a jabalina or a scorpion or a rattlesnake. I just don't believe this story. Hi, Seg. So, this is all we know, really, don't we? I mean, we don't. We only know what Nanos tells us. He'll only tell us what I suppose he thinks he can tell us. So, yeah, it was 11:56 when the alarm was raised, and they looked around and they wondered if she'd had a medical emergency because the back doors were propped open. They wondered if, an ambulance had been and taken her out on a stretcher the back way or whatever. But when you think about it, it's bloody ridiculous, that, isn't it? Because if you see the way Nancy's house is, to get in through the back door, you've got to go through all those bloody cactus and difficult, not going to take a sick woman out that way, are they? They take her out the front door. Park the ambulance up outside and take her out the front door. I mean, it's a big front door. Sure, they could fit a stretcher through it. So the family, that once they realised that apparently, I think they rang hospitals and things, once they realised that something strange had gone on. And, remember, there is blood on the porch. This blood on the porch that everybody just disregarded. There's quite a lot of blood. Not enough blood to suggest that somebody was dead, maybe. But I'll tell you what, if I came in here and there was blood all over the floor like that amount of blood, I'd be thinking, oh, my God, what's happened? I think something had happened to one of the dogs, something had happened to number one's son, whatever. How could you see all that blood on the porch and not think that something had happened? So don't forget, when the police arrived there, they didn't even take the mat up and take it away for evidence. Well, they didn't even treat it as a crime scene, even though a woman had disappeared and there was blood everywhere. And the family had insisted there was nothing wrong mentally with Nancy. She had, she wasn't suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's. And in fact, her mobility was limited. So the likelihood that she'd actually wandered off of her own accord in the middle of the night when it was pitch black was non-existent. But the police, so apparently what's being said now is the guy that turned up, that was in charge of the crime scene, he was crapo. He'd been crapo at a previous crime scene. You know, did he just assume? Did he just see that blood? Listen, you know, some people say, no, I just saw the blood and just assumed, you know, Nancy had cut herself, you know, something had happened previously. How, what, he's a detective. I'm not even a detective, and I know that looks weird and suspicious. You turn up at someone's house and you see blood on the porch and they've disappeared. You're going to think something, aren't you? You know, I just weird to me that they could even just assume. And that mat is still there. That mat that man stood next to, that porch guy stood next to it, dripping saliva over it probably because he had a torch in his mouth. It's still there. It's never been taken for testing. You feel like going and picking it up and testing it yourself. No. I'm going to tell you a little story now. You know, I like to have a little waffle every now and again, but it's a 100% true story. When I lived in Reading, I had a cat. I had two cats, actually, but one of them, Smagol, he was called. He was a beautiful cat. He was the most affectionate cat, but he was a real hunter. Oh, he brought all sorts of things into my house. It was like Hammer House of Horrors. When I'd finished work, he'd come in through the window with a dead bird, or you'd find a head or a part of a bird. You know, he just was a typical, you know, some cats hunt more than others, don't they? And he was one of them. Anyway, one day I'm sat there watching the telly, and I heard this noise behind me, and I turn around and he's coming. He's got a hamster in his mouth. So my cat, Smagel, has got an actual live hamster in his mouth. And he dropped it on the floor and this hamster ran off. So I'm just thinking, oh my God, where's he got that from? It was a lovely little thing, actually, a golden hamster. So I went running off trying to get hold of this hamster. We don't know how it happened, but we sort of ended up, because the cat picked it up again, jumped out the bedroom window, and there was like a landing outside, you know, like a surface outside. Anyway, so I had to follow it out the window. I grabbed this hamster off the cat. A hamster bit me. Thank you, hamster, even though I'm trying to save its life. It bit me and I was bleeding everywhere. Anyway, I got back in the house, put the hamster in a fish tank. I had this fish tank, like empty one, obviously. Put the hamster in there and thought, I'll have to see what to do with it tomorrow. So these are not the days of Facebook and that, where you could just put a Facebook post on, has anyone lost a hamster, you know. Anyway, later that night when I'm going to bed, I see somebody walking across the platform thing outside the spare room window. I saw them, you know, just walk across the window. So I'm thinking, oh my God, who the hell's that? So I rang the police. And this policeman, they were very good. The police came out within 5 minutes of me ringing them. And I said, I've just seen someone walk past. So I was like in a first floor flat, and then there was like a flat roof outside the windows. And that's what I'd seen them walk across. So this guy turns up with a great big German Shepherd, great big massive police dog. What's this? You know, he was right up for it. Do you know what I mean? Oh, what's this? You've seen someone walk across me. So anyway, they came up to the flat. He goes out the window onto this flat roof. And he goes, there's blood all over the place. I think he thought he'd stumbled on a murder or something. So I had to tell him the story then about the hamster, the cat bringing the hamster in. The hamster, you know, nothing's ever simple in my life. A hamster's bit my finger. That blood on the windowsill is my blood from where the hamster bit me. Anyway, he didn't look convinced. But so it turned out that the person that was walking across the flat roof was my next door neighbour. He was a young lad. He was a student from Reading University. He'd forgotten his key. So he climbed up onto the flat roof, walked across the flat roof and gone in through his window. And that was the mystery. But I forgot why I started telling this story. Oh, so what I'm saying is even that guy, he's straight away, he's noticed the blood on the windowsill. There's blood here. You know, didn't need a police dog to tell him that. You could see the blood, God's sake. So how a crime scene detective could go to a crime scene and see a load of blood and not think that the mat needed taken away for testing, just beyond me, you know, just beyond me. Yeah, Bath is a lovely place as well, Sean. It is. I used to work at the racecourses there. Beautiful. Bath and Reading. Yeah, I loved living in Reading. I didn't live in Bath, but I used to work there quite often. Very beautiful place. Very beautiful part of the world. Anyway, at least the police know when they see blood that it might be something suspicious, for God's sake. No, not in Tucson, Arizona. You know, you could have walked in and Nancy's lying there with a dagger in her heart, and you say, "Oh, it's possibly a murder." So then, of course, from Wednesday the 4th of February onwards, there were multiple ransom notes circulated in the wake of the kidnapping. February the 4th, Savannah and her siblings spoke out. And remember what they said in that first appeal. They said, "We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images can easily be manipulated. We need to know without a doubt that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us." So yeah, that was that first appeal that they did, all of them together. Savannah, Annie and Cameron, wasn't it? And Savannah was sat at the front making the main plea. And to their and they addressed Nancy in that appeal, so they still believe she might be alive then. And they said, "Everyone is looking for you, Mommy. Everywhere, we will not rest." Well, yeah, I think that's debatable, to be honest. And then on Thursday, February the 5th, for the first and only time, Cameron Guthrie, the brother, he said he did an appeal video alone, didn't he? We will have a day of looking at the appeals, I think. And he said, alone, this was him alone, no Annie, no Savannah. "Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We haven't heard anything directly. We need you to reach out and we need a way to communicate with you so that we can move forward. But first, we have to know that you have our mum. We want to talk to you and we are waiting for contact." So this is the other strange thing, isn't it, about this so-called kidnapping. It's not followed any of the general rules, the general way that kidnappings go, where the kidnappers, they present their ransom notes immediately. Normally, they waited a couple of days in this instance, if you believe that they were even real. But they gave no point of contact, no opening for discussion, no proof of life. It was just like, 1 minute it was, well, these are the conditions. Here's the Bitcoin account. If you don't pay by the deadline, the ransom's going up, and if you don't, and there'll be a second deadline, and if you don't pay by the second deadline, we're going to kill her. And with no discussion, you won't be able to contact us. That is just not right for a kidnapping, ransom notes, etc. And of course, don't forget they sent them to the media, not to the family, to the media, the local media. Oh, and then to TMZ, the gossip magazine. Just really nothing adds up about it, does it? And then the second ransom note, of course, was, oopsie, she's dead. We've killed her. So in the first ransom note, they said in no uncertain terms that they would kill her if the ransom wasn't paid, or, very coldly. And then the second ransom note, it's like, oh, so sorry, she's dead. Oh, it's just an accident. Sorry about that. She's buried in nature. Just doesn't make sense to me. It's a load of rubbish. Very odd. It's all very odd, I think. So then on Saturday, the 7th of February, Savannah and her siblings together again posted a video to social media saying they have received a message they're willing to pay. So that was the message that included a February 9th deadline for the Bitcoin ransom. And investigators said they were taking it seriously, but they could not confirm its authenticity. And Savannah said, "We received your message. We understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay." Then on Monday, February the 9th, Savannah Guthrie alone spoke directly to the camera in an Instagram video, asking the public for help. "We are at an hour of desperation and we need your help," she said. Well, don't forget later on she was, getting YouTubers arrested for trying to keep her mum's name alive. "We believe our mum is still out there. She was taken and we don't know where, and we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, no matter where you are, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, please report it to law enforcement." Oh, I forgot to thank Lily earlier for the jewels. Thank you, Lily, for the jewels. And now Seg has sent some jewels. Thank you. Thank you for that. Sorry, I forgot earlier, Lily, to mention it. Then on Tuesday, February the 10th, investigators realised new images and that video of Porch Guy, an armed suspect. So yeah, don't forget, you had a gun, you had all gloves on and balaclava, and it looks like makeup underneath. To me, I still think that picture of Porch Guy looks like he may have makeup on. Anyway, what happened there? So this was Kash Patel, wasn't it? The FBI provided the Porch Guy images and videos. Law enforcement has uncovered these previously inaccessible new images showing an armed individual appearing to have tampered with the camera at Nancy Guthrie's front door at the morning of her disappearance. That's what Kash Patel said in his social media post. And Savannah posted the images to her Instagram account with the message, "We believe she is still alive. Bring her home." And then on February the 10th, the Sheriff's Department said it detained a man for questioning. That would have been Carlos. But later he was released. So law enforcement sources told ABC News that the man was detained after the FBI identified him using a series of electronic investigative tools, including phone usage information and traffic data. The man's home was searched. He was questioned for several hours, but he was released without any charges. Thursday, February the 12th, the FBI announced that the investigators had zeroed in on more details following analysis of the doorbell camera video. The FBI described the suspect as a man with an average build who stands around 5'9" to 5'10" tall. And they said he was wearing a black 25-litre Ozark Trail Hiker backpack. On Friday, February the 13th through to Saturday, February the 14th, the authorities briefly detained a man and searched a house a short drive from Nancy's neighbourhood. This is Luke Daly. Late Friday into early Saturday, but no arrest, no sign of Nancy, law enforcement sources said. Sunday, February the 15th, investigators lifted DNA. Where am I? Of an unknown male profile from a glove. Those gloves. Do you remember all the thing about the gloves? It felt like everybody was just throwing gloves everywhere. Now it's bodies they're finding everywhere. The glove appeared to generically match the kind of gloves worn by the suspect. Well, lots of people wear those gloves, don't they, for various reasons. The Sheriff's Department sent the glove to a lab before putting it in the FBI's national DNA database. Investigators collected 16 gloves in various areas near the house. They were like glove trees, weren't they? Most of them were discarded by the investigators combing the area. Imagine as a forensic detective, when you take your gloves off, just chucking them in the countryside. This is how crap they are. You're a forensic investigator and you're just taking your gloves off and flinging them. Then to be found by, streamers and things like, I found a glove. It's from the bloody investigator. Ridiculous. On Monday, February the 16th, Pima County Sheriff Nanos said that day that members of the Guthrie family were cleared as suspects. He said, this is exactly what he said on that day. He said, to be clear, the Guthrie family, to include all siblings and spouses, has been cleared as possible suspects in this case. The family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious, and they are the victims in this case. The Guthrie family are victims, plain and simple. That's what he said. He did later backtrack, didn't he, and say everybody was still a suspect. Then he backtracked from that again and said, oh no, the family are not suspects. I don't know, just seems to me that until you know who did it, everyone's a suspect. Even I'm a suspect, really. Do you know what I'm saying? If you don't know who did it, it could be anyone. So on Monday, February the 23rd, sources familiar with the investigation told ABC News the masked suspect appears to have been at Nancy's front door earlier than February the 1st, the night she went missing. And they had released this other image, didn't they, of the suspect without a backpack. And it was captured by her Nest doorbell camera on the day before the abductions took place. So had they been there to sort of suss things out? See, that again doesn't make sense to me, because if they'd been to case the joint, why didn't they take something to remove the doorbell camera? Why was he reduced to just grabbing a load of plants? You know, why don't you take a towel with him or something? Just doesn't make sense, does it? Any of it. So the FBI said the images of the suspect with the backpack on, are from the morning of her disappearance. And one theory, according to these sources, is the suspect approached the door the first time, noticed the camera and was scared off, only to return later when he is seen tampering with the device and putting branches in front of the lens. However, so just as you think, oh yeah, that makes sense, then the sheriff's office said there's no date or timestamp associated with these images. Therefore, any suggestion the photos were taken on different days is purely speculative. So on Tuesday, February 24th, Savannah announced the new $1 million reward, bringing the combined reward from the family and law enforcement to $1.2 million, and nobody has come forward to claim it. There's there is nobody to claim it. Otherwise, they would have done. And she went on Instagram again and she said, "We still believe in a miracle. We know she may be lost, she may be gone, and she may be dancing in heaven, but we need to know where she is." Oh, and they also said that they were going to donate $500,000 to the Center of Missing and Exploited Children to shine a light on other missing persons cases. I personally thought that was a strange thing to do, because when you're trying to find your mum, now, yeah, afterwards, when your mum's been found and everything, if you've got the money to donate that, brilliant. But to me, all the money I had in my possession, all the resources I had at my fingertips, at the moment while my mum's still missing, only a few weeks later, it's going to go towards that. Billboards, flyers, private investigators. Then, yeah, maybe later, after Nancy has been found, and if you've still got these resources, it's a strange thing to do, isn't it? Because you need all your resources to find your own mother. Nobody would blame you for that. Of course, all the missing children are important as well. Your mum's missing, your children's grandmother. That's your priority at this moment in time. Very odd. It's all odd, this case. It's the weirdest case I've ever seen. And then Wednesday, March the 4th, the glove that was recovered 2 miles from Nancy's house was traced back to a person who works at a nearby restaurant. Nothing to do with the case, according to Sheriff Nanos. Friday, March the 13th, additional images were recovered from cameras on Nancy's swimming pool, backyard and side yard. But video footage could not be recovered. But thumbnail images, which we haven't seen, have we? We haven't seen these. But the police said the cameras recorded nothing suspicious. Investigators were able to observe several people in the back and side yards over an unspecified period prior to the abduction. And after Nancy was taken, law enforcement officers are seen near the pool, but the cameras captured nothing on the night of the abduction. I don't think they ever went round the back. I think those doors were propped open. That was another decoy. They went in through the front. Anyway, the Pima County Sheriff's Department said it continues to analyse various forms of evidence in the Nancy Guthrie case, including material from laboratories as well as images and videos captured by cameras. And then Thursday, March the 26th, Savannah spoke out again, and she said, because she had that interview with a co-host, Hoda, and she said images of the suspect are absolutely terrifying. I can't imagine that is who she saw standing over her bed. I can't, it's too much. And that's where she revealed as well that Cameron, her brother, immediately said it might be to do with her. That was nice of him, wasn't it? And she told Hoda, it's too much to bear that to think that I brought this to her bedside, though it's because of me. But then the other day she's posting about her daughter's birthday on Instagram. She hasn't learned, has she? So she's saying, oh, it might be because of me, oh, it's terrible. And then she's still posting on Instagram about her family, this time about her daughter's birthday. It's weird, isn't it? Very weird. Hey, Janine. Oh, it's your daughter's birthday tomorrow as well. Oh, well, happy birthday to your daughter. All the best people were born on the 16th of August. It's Madonna's birthday as well, incidentally. Yeah, then Thursday, April the 16th, they start talking about the DNA. Remember the hair that came to nothing? Monday, June the 22nd, all these other ransom notes came in, didn't they? Saying she was dead, she was buried with nature. Hey. And Savannah addressed the news on Today saying, this is a news story that is on your radar today, but this is the life that my sister lives, that I live, that my brother lives, that our extended families live and our children live every day, and we are in agony. But she's still posting on Instagram about her daughter. Sorry, that will never make sense to me. Just doesn't make sense. Stop posting on Instagram about your family, Savannah. So then Monday, July the 27th, as the 6-month mark approached, Savannah spoke out again on Instagram, imploring the suspect to make the right choice and help the family find Nancy. She said, we live in a nightmare that will not end. Nothing about our situation has changed. And she said to the culprit, I'm asking you, begging you, make the right choice. Help us find her. Tell us where to look for her. Then the Pima County Sheriff's Department said that the investigation remains active and ongoing, but without any significant development. Friday, July the 31st, the Pima County Sheriff's Department released details from 2 ransom notes released by Tucson media. So that was when they finally released the ransom notes, wasn't it? We have your mother, Nancy. She's safe but scared. That was the first one, of course. Asking for the money for a release, giving the deadlines, etc. And then the second one was said, oh, sorry, oops, Daisy, she's dead. And that no, they said, she's dead, she's buried in nature now. We did not fully grasp the seriousness of her condition. We never intended to hurt her. That was not our intention. Well, that's a load of bollocks, to be honest, because they'd said in the first ransom note, if you don't pay, we're going to kill her. But in this one, they're saying we never intended to hurt her. That was not our intention. Yes, it was your intention. You said clearly that if the ransom wasn't paid within the deadlines, you were going to kill her. Your life, what did they say? Something like your life is in her life is in your hands or something like that. So it's just not true, what this second one. We never intended to hurt her. They said clearly they were going to hurt her. They were going to kill her. And then she died by accident and suddenly they were really sorry. It's all a load of rubbish, these ransom notes, in my opinion. And they included an apology and said to the family, nothing you could have done could have changed the outcome. We want your family to know this, and we hope you can all find peace. So that's the deadline. Hi, Quizzical Girl. I haven't mentioned Derek Kallela yet because I was just reading out the timeline and it didn't come up on this timeline that I was reading out. But yeah, he's another one. Now, Derek Kallela, of course, let's have a look at him. I mean, there's so much in this case you forget, don't you? You know, because it's gone on for a long time now. And there's been a lot of twists and turns, but none of them have come to anything, have they? And Derek Kallela, he was one of them. So he was caught quite early on, wasn't he? For sending a false ransom note. And he pled guilty. So Derek Kallela, or Kayaya, has been charged for sending that ransom note, now offering a 50,000 reward in this case. Anyway, he pled guilty. He pled guilty, didn't he? I'm looking for a photo of him, actually. I mean, as far as I know, I mean, we don't know that he's necessarily been cleared. I mean, he may have something to do with it, even though, you know, that ransom note. Where's a photo of him? Yeah, so he pled guilty to the charges. That's him. He said he was just doing it for financial reasons. You know, he said he just saw an opportunity to make money. You know, you always get these twonks out there, don't you? Just ridiculous. So he pled guilty in federal court in Tucson, accused of sending the cruel fake Bitcoin ransom note. What did he actually say in the note? Have we had that ransom note? Oh, that's right. He supposedly texted Annie and Tommaso and even tried to phone them, didn't he? So it wasn't like the other ransom notes. So on or around February the 4th, shortly after the video was published, Annie Guthrie and Annie Sione and Tommaso Sione, the daughter and son-in-law of Nancy Guthrie, both separately received text messages from the following phone number. And the text message apparently said, "Did you get the Bitcoin? We're waiting on our end for the transaction." So he says, so this is what he said in court. He pulled family information from a cyber website and he's been following along and watching. And approximately 3 minutes after the text messages, he called a family member of Nancy, which I think was Tommaso, which lasted 9 seconds. So, just as a family member, we don't know for certain. Was it Tommaso? Was it Annie? Was it Savannah? Was it Cameron? But this Kalea guy, or Kayaya, or however he pronounces his name, he's not exactly a criminal genius, is he? So it was on February the 4th that he sent a text at 6:02 p.m. Three hours before the first Instagram video from Savannah and siblings. I mean, so did he? Has he got something to do with it? So I'm reading through Reddit. I'm on Reddit looking at and reading through it, but I don't think there's really any more to know. So that's Derek Kayaya. Just seems like he's just, personally, I think he's just a bit of a twonk, isn't he? Just thought he could make some money out of people's misery. Nice guy. Nice guy, not. Wouldn't like it, would he, if that would have been his mum that would have been kidnapped and people were taking advantage of it to try and earn some money. Yeah, he's a drug addict, yeah. Well, do you know, it's not the only case where people jump on the bandwagon. It's amazing, actually, what police have to contend with high-profile cases. Because you get people ringing up, confessing. Thing is, every lead has to be looked up. If some Fruit Loop rings up Peamar County today and says, "Oh, it's me, I took Nancy Guthrie," they can't just say, "Oh, did you really?" and put the phone down on them. They've still got to investigate it, and that, of course, is why investigators hold things back, don't they? Because, if they give away all the information, any Fruit Loop can ring up and say, "Oh, yeah, it was me that took Nancy. Oh, the smartwatch was on the floor." Remember, there was that, wasn't there? Smartwatch was on the floor at the foot of the bed. Or, if they, in other cases, like they're phoned up and they'll say, "Oh, I murdered such and such." And so the police will say, "How did you do it?" And they go, "Oh, I strangled them." What with? The police know they've been shot. So they know that this Fruit Loop on the phone hasn't killed them because they're saying they've strangled them and they know they've been shot. But supposing they get that right and say, "Oh, I shot them." So they'd be like, "Well, what gun did you shoot them with? Which room in the house did you shoot them? Where did you shoot them? Which part of the body?" So sadly, there's always and they waste so much police time and money, and just cause anguish to the families by making things up. But there's a lot of people out there like that. Weird, isn't it, really? Imagine it. You just cannot imagine, can you? Phoning up and making a false confession. A lot of the times as well, something interesting that does happen, especially in like serial killer cases or cases of women that have been murdered. Women ring up and say they think it was their ex-husband, or they think it's their current husband, or they think it's their boyfriend. Sometimes they just do it out of spite, or they do it because they are genuinely scared of their husband or their own partner. So they want them to get arrested so that they can escape or whatever. So there's so many different facets to investigations, isn't it? So many things that the police have to deal with. In this mad world we live in, this crazy world, there's a lot of crazy people who have crazy thoughts. You just can't imagine ringing up and pretending you've murdered someone or kidnapped someone, and also I know he's a drug addict, this Derek Caldea or whatever his name is. But is he that stupid really that he would think that he could just text Tommaso and it wouldn't be traced back to him? Just crackers, isn't it? Yes, quizzical. Then there's the political aspect to it. Savannah, both. Nancy was very political, very outspoken in her views on Trump, didn't like Trump at all, and made no secret of it on her Facebook page. Then you've got Savannah, who I presume doesn't like Trump, I don't know. And of course, she'd interviewed the Epstein victims, Virginia Giuffre, and the other victims. So that's a whole nother aspect of this case that is possible, isn't it? Because until it's found out what happened to her, everything's possible. Everything is possible. And we just don't know, do we? So I Clinton connection, maybe. I just don't know. Literally don't know. I'm not sure where the Clinton connection comes from, but maybe. Who knows? Nobody knows. As I say, until the case is solved, everything is just as possible as the other thing, because it's all quite crazy, isn't it? So, you know, it could be something as, because there's still part of me that thinks it's just as simple as Nancy borrowed money to somebody, and because she's a nice person, maybe a trader, or someone who'd done some work on a house, or somebody who's familiar with her house, and then this person felt like they didn't want to give this money back to Nancy for whatever reason, or somebody that had a grudge against Nancy because of something personal. Like, we don't know much about Nancy's personal life, do we? Now, I know she was 84, but she's been widowed since she was in her 40s. Did she not have another partner all that time? No other male, paramour or whatever. Could be something like that. Could be completely nothing that we've thought of, nothing that we know of straight away. But I still think that whoever did this to Nancy, that porch guy, looked comfortable. Didn't look nervous. Didn't look rushed. Looked like he knew the property. Remember, it was pitch black. It's wandering around confidently. I still believe somebody who knew Nancy, knew the property, but I don't know any more than that. So, okay, so yeah, I mean, we're going to discuss Nancy a lot more, I think. Maybe we'll discuss these political connections. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? As I say, nothing's ruled out until the perpetrator's found, is it? So, it's just the way it is. Anyway, I'm always thinking about Nancy. I'm always praying that it gets solved one way or another. Nancy will be brought home one way or another. Not just left buried in nature, if indeed that is where she is. Right, I'm off. So, yeah, one more sleep, and it's my birthday. It's my birthday eve. Yeah. Get philosophical about birthdays, don't you, as you get older? Get more philosophical about it. But you're always grateful to have them, because the alternative is not good, is it? Okay, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for caring about Nancy. Please leave your DNA on the subscribe button, the like button, press the notifications. Please check out my thank you, Quizzical Girl. Please check out my Ko-fi page, and remember, all the merchandise is 25% off. So, yeah, thank you for all your support. Take care. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, where's Nancy? No, may your God go with you.